everyone, and welcome to Seahawk Central News, your source for the latest news affecting the UNCW community. I'm Janae Randall.
And I'm Sarah Lively. Safe surfing to those internet users checking us out on YouTube.
That's right, Sarah. Seahawk Central News is available 24/7. Check us out at youtube.com/tealtv2010.
Tonight, we'll cover the Azalea Festival and provide you with an update on the Chancellor search with an exclusive interview with Dr. Rosemary DiPaolo.
Also, stay tuned for this week's edition of Sports with Ben Tyson and our latest edition of Critics on Campus and Talk on the Walk.
Seahawk Central News starts right now. Story tonight is on the 64th annual North Carolina Azalea Festival, which took place April 6th to the 10th all over the Wilmington area. The 5-day event is considered by many as one of the largest events to take place in Wilmington, attracting more than 300,000 people each year. Our very own Kara Trotter was there to capture all the action.
The 64th annual Azalea Festival is in full swing this weekend as visitors and locals crowd the streets for a day of fun. With various arts, crafts, and foods on display, over 200 vendors have lined up on Front Street, hoping to leave with a little cash in their pockets.
It was a good time. It was amazing to see how much of the area it actually took over. I'd expect it to be as large as it actually was.
Some UNCW students were at the festival to see just how much it affects the local economy.
It does definitely help the Wilmington area. It brings tourists and people from the Wilmington area that wouldn't necessarily go downtown. We're definitely downtown, just trying to have a good time and spend their money there.
Some locals who took the survey say that the vendors are not the only ones profiting.
Even the businesses that are just around downtown, not part of the Azalea Festival, probably got more business as well, just people being down here, trafficking the area.
But it wasn't all work for those students conducting research.
I liked the shag contest. It was really interesting to watch everybody doing their little dance, and the people there were really friendly.
Reporting downtown, Kara Trotter, Seahawk Central News, Teal TV.
UNCW's Chancellor Search Committee is still underway. A meeting with all the members was conducted behind closed doors this past Monday. The session held in Alderman Hall offered members of the committee the opportunity to evaluate and discuss qualifications of individual candidates. In the meantime, the current Chancellor, Rosemary DiPaolo, is wrapping up her duties as she prepares to retire this June. We had the chance to interview the Chancellor Monday morning. DiPaolo spoke of her accomplishments and setbacks during her time at UNCW, as well as her plans after retirement. She also offered advice for the upcoming Chancellor.
We've done something very difficult at UNCW. We've decided that our identity is not solely a teaching university, not solely a research university, and usually universities separate those. We do both, and we do that by combining research into the way people teach, into the fabric of teaching here. I hope that the next Chancellor understands that unique identity and realizes that it's all about the students.
Wendy Murphy, chairwoman of the search committee, said everything is on schedule to have a new chancellor selected by June. This Tuesday, the Board of Trustees approved a list of 3 finalists for UNC President Thomas Ross to consider.
All right, Janae, it's that time again where we interview fellow students and talk on the walk. Let's go outside with our very own Rachel Nagel.
Hi, I'm out here on Chancellor's Walk talking to my fellow Seahawks about this beautiful 80-degree day and how they find time to study for their classes, upcoming finals, and spend time in Randall Library. Let's see what keeps them motivated.
I would say French. When you walk in there with a good friend that'll study with you, it makes the studying process a lot better. What do you think?
I say the same thing, and not having a car, transportation, can't go to the beach. But yeah, I say the same thing, and friends.
Well, it's hard on me too, but hopefully I'm going to be able to grade papers in the good weather. I'll go out my back porch, pop the little outdoor recliner thing, and grade the papers. And so if they wrote them outside, then I'll grade them outside and everything will be even.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just time management, is knowing what to putting your priorities ahead of you to get your work done first, and then go to the beach once you finish that. Or you could just go to the beach and skip your work altogether. I think it's really a personal preference.
Definitely having a tough time doing that. I find myself going to the beach a little more than cracking books and things like that. So hopefully that'll change here now that it's exam time. Finals are about 4 weeks away, so.
A lot of times I'll end up taking my books with me to the beach and I'll go by myself. And I have a couple of secret spots on either Wrightsville Beach, Carolina, and Kerr Beach where I like to go and I can get away and I can still get some sun and my relaxing time to myself, but I also get my studies in. That and a lot of coffee. And Java City and Randall helps me out big time with that one. So.
When the good weather's coming, I'm right outside with it, studying. I'll be at the beach, surfing a little bit, come in, do a little study break, go back out, see how it goes.
It's really hard, and the only way that I keep going is like I have to think about beyond this, like what I want to do with my life after I get out of college, and if I fail out of college, I can't really do that.
Well, we've certainly heard a lot of interesting responses, and with the end of the semester only a few weeks away, I hope everybody stays as focused as possible and makes it through another semester. This is Rachel Nagel, Seahawk Central News, Teal TV.
Thanks, Rachel. The Visions Film Festival on April 1st was a success for the Film Studies Department. The festival took place all day in Lumina Theater, where students got the chance to meet filmmakers and scholars from all over the globe. Tiffany Albright, who volunteered at the festival, said the event was good not just for students, but for the Wilmington community as well.
It's been really amazing to get our students exposure to all of these outside filmmakers and scholars and the people they have brought with them, faculty members from other communities. And it's also great because it's another exciting event for the Wilmington film community.
Visions is an annual film festival and should return again next year.
The SGA student body elections were held this past week on campus. In a close race, sophomore Sammy Pisano came out on top and was elected student body president, with Brooke Britt as vice president. Both Pisano and Britt said they value student input and are open to suggestions or concerns the student body may have. The newly elected officials would like to focus SGA energy on increasing the visibility of student government, creating a smooth transition for the new chancellor, and decreasing the cost of textbooks. Let's hope the new elects can keep their promise.
It's sports time again, which means Ben Tyson is waiting at the sports desk with the latest athletic news. Ben, tell us what you got.
Thanks, Janae. Hi there, folks. Less than a month left in the Seahawks sports season, and the UNCW baseball team is the talk of the town. The team started the week with a makeup game against the College of Charleston. The game had to be rescheduled from last week due to rain. The Seahawks were down 6-3 and charged for a late rally, but fell to the Cougars 6-5. Charleston improves to 20-9 on the season. Justin Bradley picked up the loss for the Seahawks as he allowed 4 earned runs in his 1 inning of work. The Seahawks then welcomed colonial rival Delaware into Wilmington for a 3-game series this past weekend. In the first game, Delaware came out swinging and they won 7-1. Andrew Kane led the Seahawks with 2 hits, and Alex Hill had the lone RBI. Eric Young got the win for the Blue Hens. He went 7 1/3 innings, allowing just 1 earned run. Daniel Cropper picked up his first loss of the season, allowing 6 earned runs in 7 2/3 innings. He did impress with 10 strikeouts, however. In Game 2, the Seahawks sent Blaze Tart onto the mound. He went 5 1/3, allowing 3 earned runs, but was outpitched by Dan Gatto of the Blue Hens, who pitched 6 shutout innings of his own. The game was tied until the top of the 9th when DJ Long hit a game-winning home run. Final score, Delaware 6, UNCW 5. Game 3 was easy like Sunday afternoon for the Seahawks, who finally broke their 3-game losing streak to beat the Blue Hens 5-1. Andrew Kane went 2 for 3 with 3 runs batted in. Hunter Ridge went 2 for 4 as well. Tyler McSwain threw a gem on the mound. He went all 9 innings, had the complete game, and threw 5 strikeouts as well. The Hawks played Campbell on Tuesday, and then they traveled to Raleigh to play at North Carolina State this past Wednesday. Then they will travel to they will play at home, versus William and Mary on Friday at 6:15. So be sure to check that out. Full analysis of all those games coming next week. And be sure to check out William Prince, the UNCW freshman right-handed pitcher, who was named CAA Co-Pitcher of the Week. He won the award by throwing 6 shutout innings in relief work last week. The UNCW softball team also had a 3-game set this past weekend. Amanda Adidas pitched a gem for the Seahawks on the way to winning Game 1 of the series 2-1. Sophomore Lauren Buckworth won the game in the bottom of the 11th inning with a 1-out single. Final score, UNCW 2, Delaware 1. The Seahawks lost the night spot of the doubleheader, however, and fell in that one 12-1. The Seahawks bounced back on Sunday to win Game 3 and the series. However, it was another pitcher's duel as Amanda Davenport threw a complete game shutout to beat Dominique Ortega, who also went the complete game for the Tigers. Allison Lanuette went 2 for 3 at the plate for the Seahawks with the lone RBI in that one. Final score, UNCW 1, Towson 0. The softballers have a 2-game set against Campbell coming up this week as well. Moving on to the men's tennis team, who beat South Carolina State 5-2 this past Saturday. It was the Seahawks' 3rd straight win and 5th in their last 6. Kinshuk Sharma and Chris Ryder took the doubles point, while seniors Sharma, Ilya Ziamatsu, Michael Pereira also won in their last home match. Pedro Mole picked up the 5th point in the victory. Moving on to UNCW golf, Josh Brock shot a school record 15 under par in this past weekend's River Landing Intercollegiate at the River Landing Golf Course in Wallace. Brock picked up the school record and won medalist honors in the tournament. The Seahawks finished 4th overall. And in NASCAR news, Matt Kenseth took the win on Saturday night at Texas. It was his first win since February 2009, and also it was an overall impressive performance for the new Ford FR9 engine program. Doug Yates built engines finished 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th. You know what they say about Ford? First on race day. Have a great week. Back to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Ben. Auditions are right around the corner for the popular off-Broadway show for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. The auditions will be held at 6:30 in Dobo Hall on April 26th and 27th. The play was written in 1975 by Ntozuke Shunge, who has been nominated for Tony, Grammy, and Emmy Awards. It features 7 poems that reveal the everyday realities of Black women. Kimberly McLaughlin-Smith, Multicultural Affairs Coordinator, will be producing and directing the play on campus for the 2nd year in a row. Rehearsals are scheduled to begin in August, and the production will run in November. For more information, contact McLaughlin-Smith at smithkm@uncw.edu.
The Communication Studies Society held its 9th annual Dress for Success fashion show on Friday, April 1st in the Bernie Center. Those who attended had the opportunity to watch students model appropriate professional and business casual attire. The event was one of many that took place on Communication Studies Day, which also included panel presentations and networking sessions. Congratulations to Nikki Perotti and Scott Burgess for winning the top model.
We've got 2 student reporters ready to give us their movie analysis on the latest big screen updates. Here's Chris Vickery with Critics on Campus.
Thanks, Sarah. Welcome everyone to Critics on Campus, where we review the latest movies in the Wilmington area. I'm your host, Chris Vickery, alongside my co-host for the day, Mike Pearl. How you doing today, Mike?
Doing good, Chris. How about you?
Well, we have 2 movies that we reviewed this week. The first was Source Code, the second was Paul. Both were good movies, but the first, Source Code, what'd you think of that?
Well, Source Code's a really interesting movie. The plot of Source Code is that it's about a soldier who uses a program to go back in time and relive the last 8 minutes before a train explodes due to a terrorist bomb. He relives those 8 minutes over and over and over again. So there's this sort of sense of unexpected playfulness, at least in the beginning half of the film, because you get to explore how the smallest changes can just change everything.
Yeah, and it does a really good job of doing what a science fiction film should by exploring a pseudoscientific concept in a way that only a movie can. And it's a lot of fun in that aspect. The performances from Jake Gyllenhaal and Michelle Monaghan are excellent, I think, in portraying the nuances of something like the film proposes. And all in all, it's a really good film to go see in the theaters, I think.
It's also worth mentioning that this was directed by Duncan Jones, who A, is David Bowie's son, and B, directed last year's total underrated film Moon, which really sort of takes these same principles and explores isolation as opposed to source code, which really sort of explores mortality.
Yeah, and it does a really good job of all those things. And once again, it's an excellent movie to see on the big screen. Out of 5 stars, what would you give this one?
I'd give source code a 4.
And I'd have to agree with you there. That was a lot of fun to go see. The next movie, Paul, is the new movie from Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. What'd you think of that?
Well, it's pretty obvious watching the movie that this is really a love letter to Spielberg, especially Close Encounters of the Third Kind, so it's definitely helped if you've brushed up on your sci-fi, because you get a good deal of the references.
Yeah.
But it's got an excellent cast. Seth Rogen is absolutely stellar as Paul, and it's a very fun film. The only issue with it is that the sort of juvenile humor that Seth Rogen is known for sort of clashes with the understated British humor of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
Definitely. It's a very different movie stylistically from what you're used to seeing Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in. But again, like you said, the elements of Spielberg, the Spielbergisms, if you will, are everywhere, and they're absolutely delightful. And you know, the fact that it's an alien movie is very much solidified at the end of the movie. I can't give away the little twist, but it is excellent when you see it. And it's a fun movie to see in the theaters again, just because it's good to get a laugh with the rest of the audience, I think. And there are plenty of those laughs in that movie. So, out of 5 stars, what do you give Paul?
I love Paul to death, but I'm going to have to give it a 3.
I agree. Technically and visually, I don't think it quite lives up to the standard that source code sets. But again, a great movie and definitely a good one to see in theaters. And you had a particular artist spotlight that you would like to make.
A couple of weeks ago at Thalian Hall Cinematique, I saw a movie, the latest film by Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu, and that movie's called Beautiful. Beautiful came out last year at the Cannes Film Festival, and lead actor Javier Bardem won the Palme d'Or, and it is totally deserved. He gives a brilliant performance, and it's an absolutely fantastic movie. However, I would say tread lightly with this one, because it's one of the darkest movies I've ever seen. The plot itself concerns a man who has telepathic powers, and realizes that, or he discovers that there's a disease eating him from the inside out. At the same time, he tries to reconcile these differences within his family before the disease eventually catches him. It's an absolutely fantastic movie, though, and I would just give it the full 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, it was an excellent film. The one thing I would say is that, once again, it's a depressing film, and if you've ever seen an Inarritu film, both Babel and 21 Grams are also his films, you know that you're in for a depressing ride.
Yeah, but it's still absolutely fantastic.
Very much worth it, I think. Yeah. So, and I will agree with that 5 out of 5 stars for that one. Well, that's all for this week. This segment was brought to you by Carmike Cinemas. Stay tuned next time for more reviews of the latest movies coming to the big screen. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Vickery, alongside Mike Pearl. See you next time.
Thanks, Chris. 18 lucky art majors are showcasing their artistic creations on campus. Tonight, the senior art exhibit for 2011 began with a free public reception at the Cultural Arts Building. Student works on display include sculpture, ceramics, drawings, paintings, and photography. The exhibit will be open Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. through May 13th and will close after commencement on Saturday the 14th.
Now's the time where we learn more about the professors of UNCW. Let's get over to the studio with Mariella Wida in this session of Professors Exposed.
Thanks, Sarah. Welcome back to Professors Exposed. Today, I'm here with Professor Valerie Rider from the Foreign Language Department. Thanks, Professor Rider, for coming out today.
My pleasure.
So, why did you choose to be a professor?
Well, luckily for me, I knew from the time I was 11 years old, and I've told this story in class, and it concerns a trip that we took to Puerto Rico on vacation years ago when we lived in New York. My family and I were on a plane, and we were listening to the announcements, and the flight attendants who we could see that were doing all of this, explaining what to do in the event of emergencies and where the lights were on the plane in case we lost power and all that. They were visible, but I could also see from my seat the actual person doing the announcements. And I never forgot this moment because it changed my life forever. And it was just a very simple, quiet moment. She was explaining what to do along with everybody else's actions, and she stopped when she finished in English, and in one split second she went back on the mic and she started doing the whole entire spiel again in Spanish. And that was like the proverbial lightning bolt for me. And I turned to my mother and said, "Mom, that's what I want to do." And my mother misunderstood and went, "What, be a flight attendant?" I said, no, Spanish, Spanish. So really, I'm very lucky. I have lots and lots of students that haven't declared a major. They're not sure what they want to do. Nothing's really clicking or ringing a bell for them. But I was lucky. I knew from 11 years old, and I've just stayed on that path ever since. And here I am.
That's awesome. And how long have you been a professor here at UNCW?
Since 1992. We moved to Wilmington from Florida in 1991, and I came straight away over here and put in an application and spoke with the chair of the department, who at that time was Dr. Jim McNabb, a great guy. And he interviewed me, and all went well, but he said, "I'm really sorry, we don't have any opportunity just yet." So I left and wondered if I would ever hear from him again, but sure enough. So I went back in, and all was well, and he hired me, and I've been here since 1992.
Wow.
Love it.
That's good. And from UNCW, what's been your most memorable trip abroad with your students? Like, where did you go and why has it been most memorable for you?
That is a tough question because I've taken students to many different countries, more than any other two, Chile this year for the 9th consecutive year, and Spain. They are both in their own way the best country in the world to visit, to live, to work, to take students to study abroad. If I had to narrow it down to one particular trip, I guess it would be Chile in 2004, because we had lost my husband, and my daughter went on this trip so that she could be with me. And the kids on that particular trip just took her completely under their wing. They took her everywhere. They did everything with her. They included her. And it just made everything a little bit more special and easy to bear. So every trip that we do is wonderful in its own way. They really are. But that one sticks in my mind more than any other.
And if you had to pick anywhere to live in the world, where would you pick to live?
Of the places that I take students, you mean?
Yes, out of the places to take students.
Oh, I have to say Spain. I adore Spain. If we film too much more, I'll probably start crying over how much I love Spain. Spain is an enchanting place, and it's a country of regions. In the north, you get a completely different experience, different cuisine, even another language. Say in Galicia, there's Spanish, of course. There's Spanish spoken throughout Spain, but there's also Gallego. It's a Celtic influenced place, so you get a completely different look than you do, say, in the south in Andalusia. So everywhere you go in Spain has something to recommend it. It's just a fantastic place, and I recommend that everyone go there.
And what is your favorite aspect of Spanish culture?
Probably when you think about Spain, just the layer upon layer of history. I love history. I've been a student of it all my life and continue to do so. And when you study Spanish history and you really get into it, you can see in the 21st century echoes from the past and from many different cultures, not just the Romans, but the Greeks, the Carthaginians, the Phoenicians, the Celts. There's so much just piled on over the centuries, and it's a never-ending place to explore. So I love everything about Spain. Did I mention the food? The food.
Of course.
But the history, I think, is really what gets me.
That's great. And as a fun little question, what has been your worst experience as a teacher at UNCW?
Well, I was afraid for a second if you asked me that I was going to freeze and not be able to think of anything. There was this one guy, Cy, his name is. I won't say his last name, but if he ever hears this, he'll know exactly that I mean him. Cy was on a Chile trip. And like many of the other kids, he was sampling the seafood. Chile has a wealth of delicious seafood, and I think he ate too much. There was nothing wrong with it. It was fine, but I think his system was just not accustomed to it. And so long story short, nothing serious, but he did have to go to the hospital or clinic, really, and become hydrated. The only problem with that was that they had to put a needle in his arm to hydrate him. It wasn't any big deal. A couple of the other students had to do it too, but Cy and Needles did not get along. So I got a phone call in the middle of the night from the clinic saying, we can't get him to accept this, so would you please talk to him and calm him down and try to convince him that it's for his own good. It's just to rehydrate him, that's all. It's just to get some fluids back into him. So this was at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not a very good sleeper, so when I woke up and heard that this was what the case was, and it wasn't serious, it really wasn't, I said, yes, give me the phone. And I got him on the phone and I said, Cy, either you let them put that needle in you or I'm coming down there and I'm going to put it in you myself. So that apparently convinced him and scared him enough that he did it. So that's, you know, I'm really lucky that that is about the worst thing that's ever happened. Everyone has always come back safe and sound. That's one of my golden goals that I say to the students before we ever leave. I want you to come back safe and sound, first and foremost. That's the most important thing. And the second thing is that I want them to be further along the Spanish road than they were when they left. And the third is that we're all speaking to each other. By the time it's all done, I want everybody to still be friends.
Well, thank goodness you were there.
Yes, we had a great time.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Rider, for coming out for the show today.
I loved it. Thank you for asking me.
You're very welcome. I'm Marielle Weeda, Seahawk Central News. Back to you, Janae.
Thanks, Marielle. That wraps it up for this edition of Seahawk Central News. Be sure to check our exclusive interview with rap artist B.O.B. online at youtube.com/TealTV2010.
Special thanks to the UNCW Athletic Department, Communications Studies Department, UNCW TV, and the Wilmington Costco for making our show a reality.
Even more thanks to Joe Browning, Bill Denome, and Dustin Miller. Check out the latest edition of the Seahawk at newsstands all over campus. Until next time, I'm Janae Randall.
And I'm Sarah Lively saying, so long, Seahawks.